everyone, we are from Group 2, Initiation International Class of Undiksa. And before we start our presentation, I want to say Pangenjali Umat, Om Swastiastu, Assalamualaikum, Shalom, Namo Buddhaya, Salam Sejahtera untuk kita semua. In this video, I want to talk about when everything gets faster, how about adatrecht? The country that adheres to plurality in the field of law is Indonesia. 3 laws whose existence is recognized and enforced, namely Western law, religious law, and customary law. There are still many people who use customary law in regulating their daily activities and in solving existing problems. Each region in Indonesia has its own customary law system to regulate diverse social life, most of which are not in the form of written rules. The customary law developed following the development of society and exciting folk tradition. Customary law is a deposit of decency in a society whose truth gets recognition in that society. In its development, the practice that occurs in customary law communities, the existence of customary law often raises question whether these customary law rules can still be used to regulate people's daily activities and solve problems that arise in customary law communities. Meanwhile, our country also has legal rules made by lawmaking bodies or institutions and other law and regulation. Customary law and state law have different binding powers, which are constitutionally the same, but there are differences in their forms and aspects. The existence of this customary law has been officially recognized by the state, but its use is limited. Referring to Article 18b, Paragraph 2 of the 1945 Constitution, which states, the state recognize and respect customary law community units and their traditional rights as long as they are still alive and in accordance with community development and the principle of the unitary state of the Republic of Indonesia, which are regulated by law. Which means that the state recognizes the existence of customary law and constitutional right in the Indonesian legal system. In addition, it is also regulated in Article 3 of the UUPA, the implementation of customary right and similar right of customary law communities, as long as in reality they still exist, must be in such a way that they are in accordance with the national and state interests, which are based on national unity and do not make conflict with other higher laws and regulations.
And now, I'm gonna talk or I will explain to you the several things that affect to adatrecht in Indonesia. So, there are several things that affect to the development of adatrecht in Indonesia, such as the advancement of times, science and technology, natural condition, and many more. However, there are also other factors that affect to the development of adatrecht in Indonesia, such as magical and animism factors and religious factor. And for the first, I'm gonna talk about the animism and magical factors that affect the development of adatrecht in Indonesia. So first is magical and animism factors. In indigenous people, magical factors and animism had such a great influence before the entry of religious factors. This is reflected in the implementation of traditional ceremonies that are sourced from the belief in power of supernatural powers that can be requested for help, such as belief in subtle beings, spirits, and ghosts, and all the things that exist in the living realm. Belief in the power of magic and presence of good spirits and evil spirits. There are certain groups of people who can communicate with the unseen world, and fear of punishment by supernatural force. And the second is religious factor. The entry of religious influence then also become one of the factors that affect the development of adatrecht. like the entry of Hinduism brought by Indians' influences, the will of king government and caste division in Bali. So is the entry of other religions, activists who give their respective influences. And for the next material, will continue by my friend. Thank you.
3. The higher powers than the customary law alliance. The higher powers than customary law alliance are power that cover a wider area than the territory of one legal alliance, such as the power of kings, heads of the Surya, Nagari, and so on. The influence of this power is either positive or negative. 4. Relation with people or foreign powers. The factor is very influential. Customary law, which originally covered all area of legal life by a foreign power, namely the Dutch colonial power, became pressed until finally it practically only covered the material civil sector. Even this foreign power has caused customary law to be pushed out of several areas of legal life. In addition, the Western mindset brought by foreign by Western people to Indonesia and foreign powers in their legal relationship greatly influenced the development of Indonesian people's way of thinking. For example, it can be stated that individual process in city run faster than people in rural areas.
And lastly, I will explain conclusion discussion about the existence of adatrecht in the midst of the onslaught of globalization. Adatrecht is the original law owned by the Indonesian people. This law is maintaining its existence because of the legal awareness of the community. Adatrecht is an unwritten law that has the ability to adapt to the surrounding condition. In other words, this law is dynamic. Each region in Indonesia has its own adatrecht system to regulate diverse social life, most of which are not in the form of written rules. The adatrecht developed following the development of society and extinct folk tradition. Adatrecht that is needed in the era of globalization or modern times is adatrecht that is adapted to the condition and developments of the times, so that adatrecht saw a dynamic nature so that it can easily develop to adapt to the times because it has universal values.